Hey, everybody. Welcome to this week's Lady G and Mr. T podcast. I'm Tim Gillette. And the
And
lady
I'm
beside
Gladys
me is.
Boutwell. Gladys Boutwell.
Each week we decide to choose some different things to taste with you guys. This week we have a wonderful food tray. See, I have food tray in front of me.
Oh,
All right. I have
fun.
I have alcohols to my side. I don't have a display to get it in front of camera, like because I'm not back as much as Gladys is. However, I did bring a bourbon drinking glass.
Perfect.
Yeah. So tell us about our bourbons we have this because we're doing bourbons this week that you have chosen,
Yeah.
Gladys.
Yes, so there are three bourbons. We have a Kentucky bourbon, we
Mm-hmm.
have a Portland bourbon, and we have a Colorado bourbon. Each of them with different stories as to how they started. But there are three brown liquors right in front of us that we're going to be able to taste and compare and see what we like and where they came from.
Mm-hmm. But first, I'm going to say, if you watched last week's episode, what was your favorite vodka? We didn't hear from you. We want to know what was your favorite vodka from last week. And then next week, we're going to ask you what your favorite bourbon was. Got to finish. We're going to have to put a poll up for them.
I think so. I think so. And then maybe what they want to, because some people do like their mixed drinks. Maybe ask them what they would mix the vodka with
Yeah.
or the bourbon with.
Well,
They might
next week is Thanksgiving. I was thinking next week we do a mixed drinks for Thanksgiving week. What do you think?
I like that idea. I was reading some mixed drinks with gin. I'm
Mm-hmm,
not
mm-hmm.
a huge gin drinker, but some of these sounded pretty good. We may decide to do something even with sparkling wines or white wines that you can mix, with a punch that can
Mm-hmm.
be served out of a nice punch bowl. So there's a few options that we can do.
Cool. So yeah, I was thinking that. I think the two weeks that we should do mixed drinks this month and next is the week of Thanksgiving and the week of Christmas. What do you think?
I like that idea. And then for New Year's, we can also do a mimosa bar.
Well, yeah, I have the. I think I've chosen three good sparklings for that, but we can do it with mimosas though, because
Ah,
yeah, sparkling that's a good taste as to whether it goes with mimosa or not, or
well,
good all by itself. Yeah.
well, if you see, it all depends. I actually got asked the other day. I went to get pampered, and so they said, "Well, how much sparkling?" And I said, "Sparkling with a little splash of orange juice." Whereas some people want more orange juice than sparkling. I want it, I want more sparkling in there. I want to be able to taste it. The orange juice is just to enhance the taste of the sparkling.
How about though with grapefruit juice?
I'm not a big grapefruit fan. Hence why there's certain beers that to me they taste like grapefruit. And once I realized that, I realized, oh, that's why I don't care for that
Okay.
type of beer. But that doesn't mean I don't try them because my taste buds could change over time.
Yeah. I just well no, it's interesting when it comes to mimosas. There's all kinds of things, different things I've tried, but anyway. So I'm going to let you lead. All right, which bourbon are we starting out with this week, Lady G?
I was thinking because he's the tall one right here, and this is the oldest one that's been. Basil Hayden has the oldest history, so that's why I was thinking this is the one that we want to start with. If you notice, it has that paper and it has the little belt here. They are keeping that look of prohibition. So that's
So
the
yeah, my
beauty
paper,
of.
the one I got here from my wine did not have the paper go all the way up like yours, but
Okay.
I do. I have the belt it looks like it's brass and copper. Yeah.
Exactly, and it's the B and the H for Basil Hayden. So this dates back the history of it, not the actual bourbon, but the history goes back a long time, back to England, uh, and when the original Haydens came to America. They came to America because of all the prohibition that was going on back in England when it came to their religious preferences, the Catholics. And so when all that started, they said, you know what, we need to leave this. So they came to the U.S. And so they had the crops being grown, but then there was also a lot of rye being grown. And so there was quite a few families that were making bourbons.
Hmm.
So back in England, they made some bourbons. Came to America, they continued making bourbons. When the Basil Hayden Sr. was the one that started here in America and was making bourbons. They weren't making it for mass consumption, but way back when, that's not what they did. They mainly did it for the locals, what have you. Um, they, this grandson of the original Basil Hayden, he became a merchant, and so it is thought that he was actually providing bourbons amongst other provisions to the colonial army. So
Mm.
that's how far back we're talking with this bourbon. And so it wasn't until 1785 when it was uh, the Basil Hayden Sr. led, it was 25 families, 100 settlers to this one particular area, which is the Nelson. Oh my goodness, it was in um, Barnestown, Kentucky, Nelson County, which is now known as the bourbon capital of the world because uh, all these families were making bourbons. Um, so that's where a plethora of the bourbons have came from. Well, then the grandson, Raymond Hayden, he took over for his father, who had taken over from the original Basil Hayden Sr. Well, when he started his distillery, he named it Granddad
Hmm.
over for Basil Hayden,
Yeah.
the actual senior. So it's like this whole history going back, dating. And then uh, it was Bean, as in Jim Bean, which is part of the Bean Santori
Hmm.
family. They purchased essentially the rights to Basil Hayden.
Yeah.
So they wanted to have that smaller batch.
Yeah.
And so then it was no Noah Booker who actually came up with this particular bourbon, the Basil Hayden bourbon, and wanted to give honor to the original family that it came down from. So that's why, even though it is, yes, a newer bourbon, it has the longest history. So
Mm.
that's why Basil Hayden, it's aged and in small batch. All of these actually are all in small batches.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the beauty of them, trying to, again, keep the family of the same type of bourbons together so that we can try them. So a lot of history here, going back to colonial times. This one I had to kind of try to open ahead of time because I was struggling with it. So I'm glad, but it is a new bottle.
Now, I love how they actually have their cork actually has it has their insignia onto it and everything. Do it.
Oh, mine does not, unless I take off the little black, and
Yeah.
it's probably there. I broke it. It's, you're going to
Well, no, I
struggle with
noticed the
it.
three different ones. The other one actually tells me the batch, which we'll get to in a bit. But this is yeah.
So
Anyway.
here's your Basil Hayden. What I love that it's in 2014 is when they said that it was artfully aged. And the reason they said that is that they can no longer guarantee how long they actually age them, hence
Yeah.
the artfully aged, so that they can, it doesn't matter how long they've aged it, they can say, oh, it's been artfully aged. Oh, okay, what does that mean? You know, it's has it been 7 years, 8 years, 9 years?
Well, let's talk about aging in bourbons because that is always something, Gladys, that has confused me was the aging of bourbons. So,
It's how long it's been sitting in the barrels
yeah.
and how much it's pulling from those barrels. That's gonna, one, give it its color, but also the flavors from the barrel. And
Yeah.
then had there been wine made in the barrels before, so all of that is gonna come into account. Um, Usually you see that more in scotches than anything else where they're aging it in barrels,
Hmm.
but bourbons have been known to do that too. And just it the way that they're aging it is just, it's similar but different, and not as long as they would age a scotch.
Yeah.
So that hence why it has a little bit of a milder taste to it, but yet it has this rich flavor. And you can always add a little bit of ice to it if you want, just to give it a little something something. To me, whenever I add a little bit of water or I add a big ice cube to my brown liquors, they open up. Some people are purists. They don't want to have any water. They don't want to add any ice. They want it straight
I'm
as
a
they
neat guy. Yeah.
but it does open up just a little bit. That's why I like the big ice cubes because I don't want my liquor
Oh, I have
to.
Texas size ones, by the way. I've got to send you the cubes to make them with a Texas thing in them.
Oh, nice.
That was my Christmas present I got from you. I guess I've told you early now.
Hey, and you're already using them. You have to. Um, I don't want my liquor to dilute, but sometimes just a little bit of ice or a little bit of water will open it up, and it'll have a different taste.
Okay.
And
What food should we pair this first one with of our choices today?
I'm thinking the Gouda. So we have some Gouda cheese.
Smoked, yeah, I smoked Gouda. Did you get smoked Gouda or just regular Gouda?
I did. No, I did get the Primo smoked Gouda.
Yeah.
I followed your instructions on that one.
So each week, Gladys picks the alcohols. I pick the food. Mm.
It really brings out that smokiness in the Gouda.
Yeah, I think that's where we're talking about the aging. I think the aging matches really well on this. Right with that Gouda.
A little bit of oak in there, a little bit of golden brown, some lingering taste that just every time I pair, which is quite a bit, whenever I pair food with a certain liquor, spirit, alcohol, what have you, I always think back to Ratatouille, the movie, where he's having some cheese and then he adds a little bit of chocolate and he's adding all these different flavors where it's just like this menagerie of tastes that just come together that are just flavorful and just absolutely delicious.
Okay, don't do it with the salami. That wasn't a good batch.
Oh, good, because I was about to say
Nope, save on that one. Not good.
All right, so some almonds.
Did you get regular almonds or salted? I got regular plain.
Plain raw almonds.
A little better with the almond. A lot better than the salami.
I'm glad I didn't ruin my palate with the salami, because I was going to say, hey, the Gouda and salami taste oh so good. I don't know if I would have liked it with, well, maybe a little bit of salt.
Probably.
I think would go well too. Some cashew.
I'm trying it with just about everything, so.
Okay, strawberry. I don't know. I think my strawberries are a little too sweet. And I have a feeling, have you had it with the strawberries yet?
No. Oh my God, the chocolate. I love it with the chocolate.
So I have a couple of different chocolates. One has sea salt, the other one does not. Mm. Oh, wow. But I love dark chocolate also.
Ooh, really like strawberry. That. Ooh.
I like it with that. Strawberry and chocolate. Yeah. You can do this as an after dinner drink.
Yeah. Yeah. Bourbon usually is an after dinner drink for us. Huh.
Add a little bit of strawberries and some dark chocolate with a little bit of bourbon.
Yeah.
That's a delicious dessert. Less calories than if you were to have ice cream or anything sweet. You're going to get less calories out of this.
Yeah.
I like that. That is charred oak, a little bit. I love this one. I did have to go out and buy a new one because I ran out of my last one. And if you're in a state that is an open state. We talked about states that you can buy alcohol at the supermarket and those that are not, like controlled states like Oregon.
Yeah.
I actually found this at the Costco, and not here in Oregon, in Washington, for a very reasonable price. I was shocked. As soon as I saw it, I'm like, I'm getting it, because normally Washington's rates are higher because of all the taxes, than Oregon. But this particular one, I found it at Costco. So go to your, you can always call and ask. This is a one that's been around for a while. It's distributed by Beam Industries, so they're pretty easy to find, I think.
So yeah, it's pretty much because Jim Beam is one of the most distributed bourbons in America. So
Right.
if you're gonna find a store that distributes them, this was gonna be there.
And just ask. You never know. They might order it for you. They might just say, "Oh, it's back ordered," or "Hey, we got it in the back." Today I called one of the liquor stores. I said, "Hey, do you have?" And they said, "Let me check." And I could hear them ringing up a few people. They came back and they're like, "Are you still there?" I'm like, "Yes." And they said, "We have it." I said, "Oh, great. Put it aside for me."
Well, I've got my membership now. I actually looked at Total Wine and More, which is getting to be almost in all the states. In Total Wine and More, you can pick your location and it'll tell you if it's available. There was a whiskey that I wanted that was available in California that was Wayne Gretzky's whiskey. It's a red cask whiskey, and it was only available in California and I think Oregon. And I couldn't get it here in Texas. It shows it on the website, but it says not available in your state. So, yeah.
Okay, good to know. How long ago was that? Because I do have a Total Wine and More just over the river here in Washington.
That would have been a year ago, because that was when our buddy Craig was moving from California.
So
Craig introduced me to it, and because I moved him, when I got there, the bottle that he opened with me months earlier, that was my gift, that I got that bottle, and I carried it home in the car with me here to Texas.
That is a great gift. I would accept. Yeah, you want me to move you? And it's like, oh, don't pay me anything. You give me a bottle of a good scotch, a good whiskey, a good bourbon. I'm a happy girl. One of my clients, two of my clients, I had gotten a grant through the state of, through our county. I told my clients that were eligible, I'm like, apply for the grant. And so two of them got the grant. And one of them came over one day and said, I got you a gift. And it was a 14-year-old Glenlivet Scotch, delicious. And I'm like, and I'm trying to figure out why I'm getting this gift. And it was to thank me because she got a grant. And I was like,
wow.
Yes. So,
cool.
Yeah, I like those kinds of gifts. I'll take them. Thank you.
So you want to move on to the Breckenridge, or you want to go, with the Freeland next?
Let's go with Freeland. Just because it's in the middle. This one's beautiful. Is this not a gorgeous bottle?
Okay.
A little teardrop.
Yeah. So Freeland, this is the one that is not available in Texas. So Gladys had to ship this to me so that I could taste it with you guys tonight. Otherwise, Gladys will be tasting it and teasing me tonight. Right.
I went to my local liquor store, and this is before we had even decided that we were going to use this one. And I wanted to try a different bourbon. And of course, I always want to know, made in Oregon. Some liquor stores here have a section that is made in Oregon. So all the made in Oregon liquors are all together. The particular liquor store that I go to does not do that. They put them in with everything else so that way they can compare. And they said, you got to try this. I don't remember if yours has a number at the top of it.
It does. As a matter of fact, that's one of the things I was mentioning earlier. Let me bring mine. What number is yours? 12 out of
779.
12 out of 192.
Oh, see, yeah. I bought yours after I got this back in like July, I think, maybe August. And I got yours 4 weeks ago, maybe a month ago. Yeah, somewhere around there.
So you had yours out of 700. How many?
779.
So 779. That's a large batch. If I only had a batch with 192,
I think you got the better of the.
Yeah,
I
I
should have
have a
sent you this
really
one.
small batch if there was only 192 bottles.
I should have sent you this one. Kept that one. I didn't even look. It wasn't until afterwards that I said, "Hey, there's a number
Yeah.
there." So
That is
this.
a cool thing about, all right, so that is the number. Let's explain that to people so they understand is, so the bottom number on this that I have is the number of bottles in the batch. I have bottle number 12 in my batch, and then Gladys has bottle number 12 in her batch. But you see the number, her batch was 779 bottles in that batch. Mine was 192 bottles, which means that I have a smaller batch that was made, or what I mean by smaller batch sometimes is the smaller batch is they just didn't get as much out of it, or in some cases it aerated into it soaked into the to the barrels. Yeah.
But sometimes those smaller batches are absolutely delicious and more sought after.
Yeah.
Sometimes with wines where they're going for thousands of dollars, it could be because they have that number that is a smaller batch out of that year,
Yeah.
or out of that barrel or out of whatever it is. So there was one year here in Oregon that there was a lot of fires, and those wines are actually more expensive because there's less of them that were made that year, and they're a little bit oakier, not because, well, partly because of the smoke in the air, but it wasn't enough to tarnish the grapes, but they're
Hmm.
more
Hmm.
sought after for those that like that oakier,
Smokiness.
smokier taste. Yep, to it,
So in
absolutely.
this case here, though, Gladys, are the 100 like the 192? Is that what's pulled from one barrel, or is that a batch of
Uh,
barrels? You understand the difference between what I'm
Ooh,
saying there?
yeah, it's
Is some
tough.
people come in and think that's, well, we made this and we put it in 12 different barrels, or is the batch like this is how many we got out of this barrel?
So I will tell you on Wednesday. Well, I was trying to actually get an interview with Jill Coolers. She's the founder of Freeland
Hmm.
Bourbons, or Freeland really is the brand. Um, the women, and I will share the link. Women Who Whiskey here in Oregon. We are going to have an online event with Freeland this Wednesday. So
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
will drop the link later today so that women who want to be around women that love brown liquors, who love whiskeys, can sit in on this interview with Freeland. And I think that's one of the questions that I will be asking is,
Hmm.
so are your batches one barrel or is it multiple barrels? Is
Yeah.
it the same year? Is it the same type of barrel? So I will have that answer for you
Next week.
next week. Yes, I might have it. I might drop it in the comments and y'all can
Yeah.
hear it. But this was the Freelance Spirits was named after Jill's Mima, who well, well, are you originally from Texas, Tim?
Originally, I'm from Pennsylvania.
Okay, well, if
Oh,
you watch The Big Bang Theory and Sheldon Cooper is from Texas, he does call his grandma Mima.
me off.
So it's from her Mima. That's how this got named. And Mima never drank any alcohol, but she always believed that everything that you do, you have to do it to the best of your abilities.
Oh
And
yeah.
I would say my mama was like that. It's everything she did. She was a seamstress, and not because she's my mama, but I think truly she was the best seamstress. There was no threads coming out of her dresses. Everything had to be clean when she passed it on to the next one. So I think that my mama and Grandma Freeland also had the same work ethic to a certain extent. So that's how this was named. And this distillery is woman owned, woman founded, and the master distiller is also a female. Um, so that's the
Really?
beauty of it.
That is huge for, especially for your women in whiskey group, that you're bringing her in.
Yes. So I'm really excited. And of course, I had to pout and say, I was trying to get an interview with her. So I'll be asking tons of questions. I'm really excited about this event. So the Jill, who's the founder, her background is nonprofit, and you're like, what does that have to do with bourbons, whiskeys, uh, spirits, what have you? She also had a background with working at a Zenger Farms, an organization that helps educate families on eating healthy. And so her thought is, well, why do we not have a spirit that is high end? Something that you can go out and purchase without breaking the bank.
Mhm.
Because some spirits have been made to where they're so expensive that you're like, yeah, I'd like that, but I can't afford
Yeah.
$500 for a bottle or $1,000 for a bottle. And so that's where the background of hers came from. Now, her master distiller, um, Molly Trope, she's the master distiller. She has a science background in biochemistry, and also went to Scotland to get her master's in distillation. So these are women that are freaking smart scientists that are looking at this from a, how do you make something that's delicious, and how do you make something that's great, to have at a great price. Um and so the master distiller, um Molly, she worked for another distillery before Jill came around and was in her ear and said, "Hey, this is the project I'd love to do," because she had the vision but didn't have exactly the know-how. She had an idea of how, but didn't have the details of how to actually create this.
Hmm.
So she had to ask for help. It reminded me of, I was in corporate America many eons ago, and my team lead at the time, she had great ideas. Oh my goodness, she'd come up with these great ideas, and then she's all, I don't know how to do this, but this is my idea. And then I'd go, oh, I know how to do that. And so she was the one with the ideas, and I was the one who became the project manager of that idea. And I think that's truly the way Molly and Jill work, is that
Hmm.
Jill is this idea person, and Molly's the scientist saying, I know how to do that. Let's try this. So that's where this came from. And so the idea of bourbon started with the idea of gin in 2017. The bourbon didn't come into play until 2018. 2018,
Wow.
1920, 3 years. Three, 1920, yes, 3 years ago, November. So we're 3 years old into the bourbon.
Yeah. 2 years before the pandemic. I'm kidding.
Yeah, pretty much. So I will give you a little bit more information as we try this delicious bourbon. Have you been
Um,
trying it?
I've been sipping on it.
What do you think? Tell me what you think.
Okay. Okay. So one of the things I love about a bourbon is when it gives me the flavor, when it gives me the smoked flavor. All right. And it burns the nostrils while you're drinking it.
I
I
feel it
love
right
that feeling of the flavor with the burn. You know what I
here.
mean?
Yes.
And that's what this one does exactly. It gives me the smoky flavor. It gives me, I want to almost say it's like there's a hint of maple in it. All right. And then it gives me
Mhm.
the burn.
And originally they used Elk Grove Winery barrels. They said, "Hey, can we use some of your barrels?" And then they added some 12-year-old small batch bourbon to the original to get them started. But
Okay.
before they started doing their own thing. So that's one of the beauties of it, is that who do you know that can do this? And in our business, that's one of the things that I always ask. When a client comes to me and they said, "Hey, who do you know?" I'm like, you know what? Ask me the weird things. I probably know somebody. And if I don't
Yeah.
know somebody within my people, somebody knows somebody.
Yeah. Well,
And
that's it. I mean, it's all about networking. I know you're that way up in Oregon, like I am in Texas. All right. I want to do business with people I know. All right. And one of my businesses is real estate, which the real estate game, all right, that we're playing in Dallas right now is a relationship game. It's not a shop the newspapers type game. well, you know that now that, that's it. It's networking and it's connection that you do up there in Oregon.
Absolutely. It's if you know people, they're gonna want and they get excited over your idea. They're gonna want to do whatever they can to help you.
Yeah.
I get excited over, doing a one-to-one with somebody and they're telling me, some things that I'm like, have you asked so and so? Have you tried this? Have you looked at that association? And they're like taking notes. And I'm like, and they hadn't thought about it. And it doesn't benefit me, but it does in that I feel great that I was able to guide them somewhere.
Yeah.
So it's kind of fun.
Okay. When you smell it, Gladys, all right, just the nose. Can you smell? I smell a maple and butter. I'm serious. I don't know. Maple and butter.
I was going to say maple. I smell maple. I smell maple in mine. I hadn't thought about the butter, but I definitely smell maple.
Yeah.
Ooh, we could have made pancakes.
It does. It makes, I'm betting if we would have had this with pancakes, I would be in heaven right now.
There was I'm going to find it because I did see that there is a maple syrup made here in Oregon somewhere that I have to track down that has bourbon in it. So I will track that down. Yes, I am not kidding you.
So when it comes to bourbon, Tim's barbecue sauce has bourbon in it.
Oh, really?
One of my bourbons that I used a Jim Beam cinnamon bourbon for the longest time. But I since have taken the cinnamon bourbon out because I found a little bit of the cinnamon was tweaking the tomato like stuff I had to it. So I took the cinnamon out and I was going to regular bourbons. This one here, I'm telling you, if I put this one here in my barbecue sauce, I'll bet you this would take the place of I wouldn't have to add as much brown sugar.
I was going to say this is a little bit sweeter than the Basil Hayden.
It is. No. I'm thinking not just a little bit. I'm thinking it's far sweeter than the Basil Hayden.
And I don't like sweets, but I love this one. Now, did you know that women's taste buds, we taste 50% more in our smell when we could smell 50% more than men?
Mm.
We're a little bit more.
So then, wait a minute. So then, why are you not smelling the butter when I smell the butter?
There's butter.
That's gonna bother Gladys all night. She's gonna be going home. Come on, there's got to be butter in this. I gotta outdo Tim.
Oh my goodness, and it's not about outdoing you. Well, having a woman distiller, master distiller at that, she's the one that is making these batches, making sure that the best taste, the best smell is coming out of these barrels. That to me is amazing because she is smelling things that some others don't smell.
Gladys, Gladys, I'm gonna have to hide this one from my wife.
She's
gonna drink all this one. She's gonna when she tastes this is gonna be her new favorite bourbon.
So what you do is that you put it into a mason jar and you slip it, somewhere else.
And I put it in with my moonshine. She'll never know. Yeah.
So what did you pair it with?
I'm telling you, the dark chocolate with this one will blow your mind because again, that maple. Think about maple, all right, and put the dark chocolate with it. I found it. I've not done it with. I did the dark chocolate, the salami, and the strawberry. The dark chocolate is by far the greatest taste match with this one. I've not tried the smoked Gouda, so I'm going to try the smoked Gouda while you're doing that one.
Oh, wow. I think you're going to, what I did, smoked Gouda, salami, bourbon. So I did a combination. So
I'm gonna try that together because I just tried smoked Gouda.
Yeah,
I'm gonna try the two together.
I think you're gonna really like that. I enjoyed it. So, distillery launches 2018, November. So they really had 1 year. You're looking at 2019. This particular bourbon is from a batch of 2019. The other thing that it has.
How do I tell how do I tell which one this was you sent me? Because all I have is the numbers. I don't have unless it was. I don't have my tag. Oh, I took my tag off. Wait a minute. Let
The
me see my
tag does
tag. It's over
not,
here.
because it says, I will read to you what the little card says. It says, Freeland Bourbon pays homage to the South and to Grandma Freeland, the namesake of Freeland Spirits. Soft caramel, vanilla, and spice they dance into the whiskey from charred American oak barrels. A final rest in Oregon Elk Cove Pinot Noir barrels adds a flavor of the Pacific Northwest. Learn more about our woman-owned and operated distillery at freelandspirits.com. So that's a little card. So in so after
Oh my
2019,
goodness.
there was our weird year of 2020.
Mm-hmm.
Everything shut down. So when everything shut down, one of the things that Freelance Spirits did is, you know what? We need a hand sanitizer. So they answered the call in 2020 and made thousands of gallons of sanitizer for the city of Portland, for the first responders, for healthcare facilities, for nonprofits, whoever needed hand sanitizer, they made for the city of Portland and those are surrounding.
Did you add an ice cube to this one or no?
I have not.
I love this one without it, but I'm going to try it just because you taking your advice. The
Okay,
C.
I will do that. I had not done it with this one, but I'm gonna pour just a little bit because I didn't pour too much into my glass, but just enough. I put the skinny one in there.
I know I only have small ice cubes with me this time. It should give me that. It should tweak the flavor if I add the ice to it.
It truly an ice cube opens up just a little bit. What some people, one of my friends, Natalie Brandt, she is the chapter president of the Women Who Whiskey here in Salem, because we
Yeah.
have another Women Who Whiskey in Portland. They're across the U.S. Y'all, ladies, look up Women Who Whiskey. You will be happy to have a group of women that are so supportive of other women, no matter your age. They will taste all sorts of brown liquors with you, and then some that are not so brown, but that's okay because it's all about tasting new spirits. But Natalie, she likes to have a deconstructed whatever it is. That means that she will have her, I have water in here. Even though it says my happy juice, it's actually water.
No,
She
this is
will,
the happy juice. Yeah.
she will have her water and she will have her whiskey. Not all of them, but with some of them, she likes them deconstructed, which means separate. So you drink the one and then you drink the other. So if you're the one that says, "Well, I don't want to put water or ice in my brown liquor," okay, have a sip of this and have a sip of this, and what do you think? It's still gonna open up in your mouth like when you're having some salami or some cheese.
I
It's gonna
I'm
be
sorry, Gladys. I like it by itself. When you open it up, it takes it dilutes the flavor.
It's a little different. I was sipping it without the ice. I didn't even think about putting the ice till you said it. That's why I put it in. But I truly like the Freeland without the ice. True.
I do too.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It's to me, it dilutes it too much. The ice dilutes it too much. The Freeland.
Mm. So those are our two, and then we're gonna go into Breckenridge bourbon. Are you ready to move to Colorado?
I'm like, wait a minute now. Like, what made you go from Kentucky, Oregon? I don't know. Let's try Colorado. What made you try that this week? I'm curious.
So, being in a controlled state,
Mm-hmm.
we have liquor stores,
Mm-hmm.
and I do have some particular liquor stores that I like for different reasons, and some of them it's for convenience, and some of them it's because when I go in there, I can ask them questions and I can say, "What do you know about?" or "What do you think about?" And they said, "Oh, when I went into the liquor store, they said Breckenridge bourbon, because they already knew I had Freeland.
Freeland, yeah.
And I was like, I was kind of leaning towards Basil Hayden, so I said, what goes with? What is in the same price point and what they're doing?
Hmm.
So they said Breckenridge, and I said, okay. Now, mind you, I did not buy it that day. I did some research, and then I came back and I said, okay, I'll get it. So that's how that went. It's when you're in a controlled state, you build a relationship with your local liquor store, because then when you need something, you can call them, you can text them, you can email them and said, I need such and such, and they work with you. In Oregon, the beauty about Oregon is that the uh, the liquor store owners don't actually own the liquor. The state of Oregon owns the liquor. So
It's probably the
if
way it is in Texas for all I know. I got to research that.
there's a high probability it's the same. Um, and so if I need something, I can say, hey, can you order such and such? They're not out the money to order a bottle of Breckenridge. If it's available, they're going to order it for me. They're going to call me. They're going to text me and say, hey, it's available. It came in. Some liquors, it's a little bit more difficult because you have to have X number of cases or pallets to come into the state before you can get it. So some of them you're waiting 3 months, some of them you're waiting 3 weeks. It all depends. This
Mm.
one happens to be on the shelf. And so this particular one, when I was researching it, it just kind of went in line with, yes, there's a long history with Basil Hayden, part of a well known Jim Beam family. Then
Hmm.
the local Oregon owned, woman owned, and then there's Colorado. So with Colorado, um, the founder of Breckenridge was, I was laughing when I said, hey, he got high. He did not get high by taking anything. It's Colorado. It's the altitude.
But I was reading. Yeah, I know. I'm reading the label, and it says whiskey with snow melted water.
Colorado. Hello.
I know.
So, so Brian Nolt, he's the founder.
Mhm.
Again, you got, somebody that's been around for a while. Then you got somebody that's a friggin'
A newbie, really, really. Freeland's a
yeah, but a
newbie.
scientist here who's the distiller, and then you have a radiologist over here. Now, part of why I chose this one was when I was in high school, I wanted to be a doctor, and then I realized that I don't have the stomach for it, the smells. So I said I can't go into medicine, but at that point, how do you find a new career? So I actually interviewed a radiologist, and I said, radiologist, maybe. Didn't go into the sciences, but there was something that was calling to me that Brian Nold, radiologist, he went to Scotland and went, I think I like brown liquors. And he said, well, the altitude of Colorado of 9,600 feet, that's pretty high up. Um, you have delicious water. I don't care what anybody says, water has a taste. When people say water doesn't have a taste, of course it does. I'm sorry, there's certain water, even bottled water, that I go, I don't like that. When you taste some crisp, delicious water coming from the mountains, oh my goodness, it tastes different. And so what Brian said is, if you have delicious water, you're going to make delicious spirits. And so what he found was not gold, was not silver. It was the perfect mineral infused water from Colorado. So that's where this whiskey came from. Is this delicious 9,600-foot elevation level and some absolutely delicious flavored water. And yes, he's a doctor, and he goes back to his roots of giving back. So yes, he still works once a week doing his job, but that's where Breckenridge came from, was his story of wanting the best uh, spirits here to provide. So that's where this came from. Um, Everything in Colorado, because it's so high, and I believe me, I many eons ago, I will say I was this close to moving to Colorado Springs, Colorado, and I said, it's way too cold for me, and I couldn't move there, so I didn't
If
do
you move,
it.
Gladys, you're moving to Texas. Get over it.
Hey, I've been there, done that for 4 years, and I moved to Oregon, so Pacific Northwest is my home. I don't know that you're gonna get me out. You're gonna have to do so well to move into Texas again, because the Pacific Northwest is just a place to be. I don't know, Tim. You may have to come up here. Oh, you have been up here. We had that conversation.
Last week.
Yes, we did. So
No, we're going to visit each other a lot. But anyway, yeah, go ahead.
so everything in Colorado is difficult. Getting there, sleeping there, trucks going up there in the winter. It is difficult, but yet because it's harder when you have a good bourbon. Oh my goodness, the positive side is the delicious water, and it's where the water flows down.
Yeah.
So when water flows south, it's just cleaner. The minerals are just delicious, and there is no iron, and it when you have no iron in your water, it just tastes better. So yeah, if you can get Colorado water, do that. So here we're gonna go. Have you been tasting this one?
I haven't tasted. No, I have not touched this one yet. I've only been smelling it.
Oh my goodness, it tastes delicious.
I
Look,
know,
the
and I just
bottle.
gave my wife some, so she's like all coming up here for refills.
Oh, is she gonna
She's
join
talking
us?
to someone from Portland.
Which one is it?
Is she gonna say
Wait a
hello?
minute, this is the Portland one here, honey. My wife's tapping into our program.
It's Freeland Spirits.
She's talking to someone from your town, Gladys.
You're a big what there?
Go Portland.
Yeah, I knew that. So do you know this distillery?
Anyway,
It's
so no,
Freeland. Tell her to look up women who whiskey.
I know she's talking with someone like a customer or lead or something from Oregon for a shop, and like she's like, my husband just brought down, because I slipped off camera a bit to take some down to my wife of what we were tasting, because she just got home, and
Yes,
anyway,
you want to make sure she tastes Freeland.
that's what I just took her. I took her, actually I didn't take her the Basil Hayden. I just took the two. I just took the Oregon and the Colorado, because here's the truth: is my wife and I've been to Jim Beam, and we tasted everything. Like, you wouldn't believe the tastings, because when you go there, you can buy tastings, but you can buy like only so many because of like law. There's only so much they give you for a tasting.
Right.
But we're a smart couple, so if we have 6 tastings, we're getting 12 tastings, because we're tasting different things. And she found one there called Baker's that they love, and I don't even know if that they make the Baker's brand anymore. But the Baker's was their high end and really good. Now, Jim Beam is probably the most famous bourbon maker in America. And the stuff we're tasting is, shall we say, something that's way above what Jim Beam drinkers have.
When you are out there saying, I want a cheap bourbon, sometimes you have to say, you know what? Let me just spend a little bit more, and you're going to get that much more, truly. Yes, Jim Beam has its place, and it's okay. It's all right. But
no, I had is it Woodland? Woodford? No.
oh, Yeah, Woodford. I do have a batch of Woodford Rye at home. Yes, I got, yeah. That one I drink sparingly because it is so good and a little expensive. Is so I do have it. It's kind of on the back because it's yeah. I'm halfway through that bottle and I love it. We'll touch it.
Yeah, well,
Maybe.
in coming weeks. But no, I had some of that. Where was I the other day? Oh, I was out to lunch with Craig Duswalt and Glenn Morshower, and we were at a bar, and I'm like, like
Oh, oh, you were just out with Glenn Morshower. Oh, no big deal. Yeah.
I just went out to Glenn. No, that was an impromptu lunch, Gladys, and it was for me. It was something I was having a bad week, and a bad week, a bad day, and just to be at Craig's because I had to pick up some stuff there, and Craig's like, and Glenn calls and he says, "Why aren't the three of us sitting in a place someplace eating food?" So we went to lunch, and I'm going to tell you truthfully, I needed that. I love Glenn. All right. I'm not loving Glenn because I want to take pictures and say I'm hanging out with a guy in movies. No, I love Glenn and Craig because they're my friends. And
Right.
that was a lunch we had that I literally got neat Woodford, sat there, sipped on it, had my burger. I'm good. I was good all day. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember Glenn when I met him. I wanted to meet him because he's just awesome.
He is.
I'm a fan of 24. Oh my goodness. And Glenn is one of those people that is just very intuitive. I'm not invasive. I'm not the one that's going to impose. Well, not very often. Once in a great while, I may impose, and I
Only
think
on my
I'm gonna
show.
impose. Yeah. And he knew I wanted to say hello to him,
Yeah.
and he was having a conversation. I was not going to intrude, and it was one of the Craig's events, and I was waiting, and he actually excused himself from who he was talking to, and then he turned to me and he says, "Hi, I'm Glenn," and I'm like,
Uh-huh.
Glenn said hi to me. He introduced himself. I had my picture taken, had a small conversation with him, nothing major, but it was just he is just the most intuitive person, just very caring, empathetic. Oh my goodness, he's just an awesome person, just as a person. Take away the things he's done in movies and series, he's just a very caring person. So Glenn, if you're watching this, you're awesome. And then
Um,
Craig,
okay, so
here's my heart.
I tasted this with the chocolate,
Okay, because I
the
haven't
straw,
tasted it. Oh my
the
goodness,
straw.
I haven't tasted it. Okay.
Okay, yeah, the strawberry. I've not tried it with the Gouda cheese. I think I'm going to do that Gouda cheese salami combination again on this one.
Okay.
The chocolate. Oh my God, this is like it almost brings the chocolate and make it taste like chocolate covered cherry. So I'm thinking
Mm.
if I was going to take this one here, this would be oh, what's that drink? The cherry and the
An
old
old
fashioned.
fashioned or a Manhattan.
An old fashioned. To me, this is the bourbon in an old fashioned.
Mm.
When I tasted it with the chocolate, that's what made me think,
Ooh.
oh, this would go so well in an old fashioned.
Mm.
You
See,
see it?
usually I go with the rye in my old fashioned. I love rye in my old fashioned, but I can totally see what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm. Now you taste it with the strawberry. So when you taste the strawberry, then the chocolate, and now you come back, you can see why it matches so much. It would be such a good bourbon in an old fashioned.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
Okay. Now I just combined the smokiness, all right, and the salami, and I'm going to try it again.
I think you're gonna like that. That was just wow. I think that was the best combination with this particular bourbon.
No, I'm going to say the salami smokiness still goes very much better with Freeland. Chocolate strawberry is Colorado.
All right, I'm gonna try that again because
And I'm gonna take the almond to try to give a neutralization because almond's kind of a
I was gonna say
neutral
it
taste.
really cleansed the palate.
Yeah.
Now I will say that of the three, Breckenridge Bourbon has won the most awards
Mm-hmm.
of all of them. Well, one because it's been around a little bit longer, but I will read from my notes because I actually have notes on the awards that I wrote down.
Yeah. Yeah, read your notes because these are good notes.
Four-time award winner of the Best American Blended from the World Whiskey Awards in 2016, 17, 18, and 19. It won Bourbon of the Year in 2011 at the International Wine and Spirits Competition. In 2019, it won the Colorado Distillery of the Year at the New York International Spirits Competition. And then in 2018, it won the coveted Icons of Whiskey for Brand Innovation of the Year. So when you look at awards, Breckenridge's award is ahead of everybody else.
Yeah, but it tastes a little more watered down than everybody else.
I didn't add wine. I didn't add.
I know you didn't add water, but no. Here's what I mean by that. All right, you think about like you and I are going to go for the deeper tastes because we're more alcohol enthusiasts, right?
Yeah.
The average person's not. If the average person drank the Freeland, that's a deep taste for them because they're not used to it. They're used to a Jim Beam.
All right.
You and I are, yeah. I mean, we're a deep taste, so we're gonna love the Freeland. This is I gotta say, this is the lightest flavoring of all three.
I think this is the one that I would, because I had not tasted it. It was all because of my local liquor store that said, "Hey, you got to taste it." And when I looked at the history of it, I'm like, I think I got to taste it.
Mhm.
I like this. This is like an everyday. So if somebody just wants a good bourbon whiskey, this is the way to go.
Okay.
Award winning, delicious. This is the way to go. You want something slightly sweet, Freeland.
I'm gonna give you a I mean, why not? We all right. Why not experiment things on our show, right?
That's why we're here.
Take an almond and drop it in the cup and let it soak for a minute.
Oh, so I will have to tell you a story. I added a little bit of
Yeah. Okay. Tell us the story while the almond soaks.
So many eons ago, I had added some olives because I still love a good dirty martini.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, you're
Good,
talking my language, girl. Yeah.
with a good vodka, and the olives had been soaking because I threw them in the freezer, did my thing, and then came home and said, "Oh, gonna make my martini." So I made my martini. Well, the olives had been soaking for I don't know 24 hours at that point. Yeah, I was like, I'm eating my olives. I'm like, these are so good, and then I'm like, oh, wee. So, if you ever soak your olives in a good vodka, don't eat them all at once, or
Yeah.
just eat them and don't have
Space
the
them out and put
martini.
them in your martinis. Okay.
Yeah,
It's been
just a
soaking for
little.
a while, so let's pull. I want you to pull it out. I know you're gonna finger it out. Don't drink it. Finger it out and eat it now. Is that not an interesting thing?
I like that.
I'm betting. No. I'm betting if you dropped a couple olives in this and let it soak for probably about an hour or two,
Ooh.
our almonds, it would be. I'm thinking the almonds would be an interesting taste.
I'm probably gonna do that. I'll let you know how it goes. I do have a few almonds here.
Experiment number 2 for the for the Lady G and Mr. T show. Yeah.
I like
Okay.
this one. All right, so we did this last week. You said rank them.
Rank them. Okay. Now I'm gonna have to do. And I just gave my wife my extra glasses, so I wish I had extra glasses up here to do this. So I just did Colorado. I'm gonna do Freeland And then I'm gonna put the Basil Hayden in my shot glass, so I can
Ooh.
switch right to it, and then we can give a ranking of which one I think is best.
Mm. Mm.
Freeland, Basil Hayden, Colorado's number 3 this week.
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah.
I
Again, the Oregon Spirit wins 2 weeks in a row.
You know, I'm going to continue to bring Oregon. There are so many Oregon spirits and distilleries that are absolutely amazing, even though, for the most part, most of them are newer. When you look at the history, there is something about the Pacific Northwest that just has this deliciousness. Um, Breckenridge, oh my goodness. Yes, the water does make a difference. It is delicious. Um, But this one, even though, yes, I normally don't like sweet. This one is a certain level of different sweet that is not your mushy sweet. It's just enough to go, I kind of like it. And Jim Beam, yeah, Basil Hayden, there's a
I'm
lot of
sorry.
history behind it, but you're still
The
number
biggest
3.
thing with this one here, Gladys, is that maple smell, that maple aftertaste. All right. To me, that takes this Freeland one, and like you said, it's the female palate that judged this and built this that probably made it better.
Well, the distiller at Jim Beam said, "Give me a good bourbon and tell me a story." I think Freeland Spirits gives them a good bourbon and gives a good story. So, Freeland,
Okay.
good times.
Okay. Now, I was asked this last week, and I'm chewing on my strawberries because I make this big ass plate and I never finish it.
Look at mine. I will
I know.
show you my big ass plate. I will
know.
tell you. So last week because last week I think you had more a fuller palate than this week. I had an appointment right after this. Then my appointment came back and I said, "There's a lot of good stuff here." So everything else that was on my plate, I had it for dinner. That was my dinner last week. So
Now, the question I got asked last week after last week's show was, so like, are you guys getting drunk? I got asked that by a lot of people in my network. So you guys drinking to get drunk? I'm like, no, I wasn't. I mean, the vodkas were hit pretty hard, but I don't think I was buzzed. I had a little buzz, but like, let me ask you. I mean, I had a little buzz from it because I did sip quite a bit last week, but this week I've had quite a bit. I'm not feeling a buzz, but boy, I'm picking flavors out. Like, I'm smelling flavors in the air this week.
I will tell you. So last week I knew I had an appointment right after this. So I was being very cautious.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like barely sipping, barely sipping. Today, I don't have an appointment after this. I was still sipping, but not as cautious. I have more, it's a brown liquor.
Yeah.
So, brown liquor will always hit you a little bit more than a white liquor. I feel it more this week, and it is not about getting the buzz, it is about the taste of the liquor
No.
with the food.
Yeah, I want to clarify that I'm not doing this for the buzz. I'm doing this for the flavors. All right.
Yes,
But
I'm right there
what
with
I
you.
do want to state while I bring that subject up is one of the things that Gladys and I talked about when we did this show was, all right, if you have a problem with alcohol and addiction, please seek help. All right. We're doing this for taste. Gladys and I can taste this and probably were more sober than the average person who would do this, and then they wouldn't stop pouring. These will be on my shelf for weeks, Gladys, all right? Because I will sip them. I will not drink. How fast can I get drunk? You know what I mean? Yeah.
Okay, so this I got in July, August.
Okay.
It's right here.
Yeah.
It's right here.
Yeah.
This is delicious. It's right here. The other two I opened today. For me, it is about the taste. You are
Yes.
correct, Tim. It is about Mr. T. It is about what do I like? Do I want a little aperitif right before dinner? Do I want it for this was delicious for dessert? Didn't we talk about strawberries and chocolate and this one
Okay,
after
strawberries and chocolate, having this with dessert, ladies and gentlemen. This week is this week's prime right here.
Absolutely. One of the things that I had said to somebody is like, oh, what would you like for dessert? And at the time, this was some years ago, I said, Starbucks. For me, Starbucks is a dessert. It was not about drinking every day. It was about sparingly a dessert. Now it's about sparingly a dessert. You pair this with something as simple as strawberries and chocolate, that's my dessert. Do I get a buzz? Yeah, sometimes. Sometimes I don't. It all depends. Sometimes I go a week without drinking any spirits, and it's okay. And some weeks I'm like, hey, I want to drink this, and I want to drink that, and I want to drink the other. But I'm still very cautious. And if I can go a few days without drinking anything, then that's okay. But we also want to be cautious about our viewers, and do we want to make sure they're protected? Absolutely.
And I know I do mine for my home. So if I got buzzed tonight, ladies and gentlemen, I got to walk down the stairs. Gladys, I think you have someone giving you a ride home tonight, right? In case, right?
I'm a quarter mile from home. I can walk home.
So you can walk, right? So we, ladies and gentlemen, we want you to be responsible. This show is not about getting drunk. This show is about taste. All right. Pairing the alcohol with the food. All right. And the story behind the alcohol. If you have a problem with alcoholism, please, ladies and gentlemen, seek help. All right. I will be the first person to drive you to rehab. All right. I don't have a problem with alcohol. Again, all the alcohol we purchased today will probably be on my shelves for months to come because I don't sit and drink it down like it's a problem. So I think I still have beer in my refrigerator, Gladys, that someone gave me as a gift in July.
Yeah, I have beer in my fridge that's been sitting there for a few months.
Yeah.
Beer you have to drink a little bit more, but you know what? It's not that important to me. I want to make sure that if I'm drinking, that I'm safe. And if I need to get an Uber driver, I get an Uber driver. From where my office is to where my home is, it's a quarter mile. I can walk home if I need to. No big deal. So be responsible.
Yes.
If you need a designated driver, that's what Uber, Lyft are for. And if you're at home, just be kind to the people around you.
Yes. So Gladys, I've had a lot of fun this week. All right. I really got to say that all the foods that like you actually pointed out, was it on I think it was on the Freeland where you pointed out combining the salami and the cheese. Oh my gosh, that made a difference.
Cheese, salami, oh my goodness, that was like delicious. There we go. Cheese and salami.
Together. So you had them together, and I wouldn't have thought about it. And I know we did the first one, all right, which is our Basil Hayden. The salami did not match with me. You try it and let me know. I mean, it was a bad match for me. All right. To me, the chocolate kind of went with all three of them. I think I did good on the almonds, and I think I did good on the Gouda cheese this time. So
the Gouda cheese was on point. That smokiness went well with the charred oak, with the Basil Hayden, and with the
Breckenridge.
Breckenridge.
All right. So why the smoky? Yeah, so listeners, why the smoky went well is you got to realize your bourbons are put usually into a barrel that is charred to give that smokiness. The charred oak in the barrels is what gives the smokiness taste to your bourbons. So that's what's going to give you. That's why I picked the smoky Gouda as opposed to just a regular Gouda cheese. All right, I probably could have pulled, like last week we had the smoked salmon. I probably could have put the smoked salmon in with this too, but
That
I
would have
didn't.
been delicious.
Yeah. So
Smoked Gouda, smoked salmon, anything smoked will go well with the bourbon.
cool.
Truly, it's about what do you like? What
Yeah.
do you enjoy? And that's really what it's all about. It's trying different things. When you're at your local bar, say, hey, I want to try something new. This weekend, I think I posted on Facebook,
Mm-hmm.
Basil Hayden, they have a delicious rye, but it was the dark rye that I tried that I was like, whoo, that was yummy.
Yeah.
So that's when you have the opportunity to try something new. Why not?
Yeah. So next week, what do you think we should do for next week? You think we should do the drinks for Thanksgiving?
I think we're gonna find something yummy. I know that I know I'm like positioning to make sure everybody sees our drinks. We're gonna try mixed drinks next week.
Okay.
Mixed drinks because we want to make sure that if you are having a Thanksgiving gathering, that
Yeah.
you are
What you
able
want with it?
to do something yummy with something gym related, possibly, or something else. We will let you know next Monday at 4:30 p.m. Pacific time, 6:30 Central, 7:30 Eastern.
Yep. So in the meantime, this show is brought to you every week, all right, by Tim. I'm Tim Gillette, Simple Easy Events. You can go check me out, simpleeasyevents.com, as well as my co-host Gladys. It's brought to you by
InsuranceByDesign.com. Check it out. I'm licensed in Oregon, Washington, and California, bringing you health insurance benefits for your business.
Yep. Ladies and gentlemen, we thank you for watching episode number 2. We'll be back next week with another episode. Thank you guys for watching.